Well, it was very concerning that the Russian military would venture to shell a nuclear power plant. In 2009, the member states of the IAEA, the nuclear watchdog agency, had unanimously agreed that any use of military force or threat even of military force against a civilian nuclear object or facility constitutes a violation of the UN Charter, constitutes a violation of international law. So this just tells us just how far the Russian regime is willing to go to neglect and to break international norms. In terms of the actual danger to the plant, it's difficult to assess, but there is some confidence that modern safety and security measures that most nuclear power plants in the world now follow provide some protection from some kind of large-scale radioactive release. The nuclear power plants and nuclear reactors are protected by rather robust confinement chambers that, should anything go wrong in the core,
As I understand it, the reactors have been shut down now, and this puts them into a safe state. But what impact could nearby shelling have on these reactors?
That's a bit of a misunderstanding that a shutdown reactor is suddenly safe. It's not like one could just turn a switch on a nuclear reactor. There's still radioactive nuclear fuel for some time inside the reactor core. It needs to be cooled. Just like in an operating reactor, it relies on the cooling system to keep it from melting down and to keep things safe inside the reactor core. So there's still, for some time after the shutdown, you have to be very vigilant with the reactor core. And of course, all of the safety and security procedures are designed in view of the previous accidents, in view of the accidents that we have survived, Chernobyl, Fukushima, Daiichi, but none of these procedures have been designed to withstand a full-on military operation and everything that can go wrong amid a war.
What would have been the fallout if this plant had been hit by Russia's military?
We have a very sad preview of what that could look like with the Chernobyl power plant disaster in 1986. When the radiation is released, huge amounts of radiation are released in the atmosphere, there's very little you can do to control it. It depends on weather patterns, it depends on wind directions. These radioactive plumes could blow anywhere. They could blow to Russia. The prevailing winds yesterday were southeastern. That would have directly any radioactive release would have directly affected Russian territory. In case of Chernobyl, the radioactive cloud and then the fallout affected places as far out as Ireland and Wales and parts of England. Farms, sheep farms in England were affected. Up until early 2000s, some farms were prohibited from selling their sheep. They had to be tested. So we're not only talking about geographic fallout, we're talking about decades of time that the consequences could last.
Mariana Budjeryn, thank you so much for being with us this morning. We really appreciate your time.
Thank you.